So we were told that Americas, North and South America, is named after the Italian explorer, but it's not. It's named after AMARUCA, which is the original name that the indigenous people call the region.
How do you know that?
It's well known in South America, especially Peru and Bolivia.
But is it just ancient? Is it like ancient rumor? People just like to say that, or is there actually evidence to support
There are
that?
depictions of Viracocha from ancient times that have the alternate name in the region of Amaruca. And it's very well known for those who study down in that region that Amaruca became America. And what it means the land of the feathered serpents. That's what it means. And Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, and Viracocha is because they were all, that was their symbol. They weren't really dragons.
Shalom, shalom. Peace, love, and salutations to the 144,000. Shalom. Before we get started, I want to give all praises, all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who are preaching and teaching this truth to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indigenous of the America, and the Israelite stranger that has been scattered across the four winds who go back to a black, Hispanic, and Native Indigenous of the America, which go further back into the lineage as well of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which collectively make the 12 sons of Jacob, making the whole nation of Yasharallah. Okay, as you saw the influencer asking the historian how that name was called Amaruca, I believe it was called, what he was saying, and how they have depictions throughout the southern region of America with that name of Amaruca. So this video today will be concerning the name and a little bit of history about how the name has changed throughout times. Okay, before it was called Amaruca, it was also called Arsareth and the land of Ophir. Okay, it's been given different names. Okay, but we're going to prove that here in a second. This all ties together into Bible prophecy and Bible history, with the 10 lost tribes being here in the so-called Americas, how they tie in this as well. Okay, we're going to get started here. We're going to go to 1 Kings 9 and the start of 28. And they came to Ophir and fetched from thence gold 420 talents and brought it to King Solomon. Okay, and this is where you see the land, the word Ophir throughout the book of 1 Kings and Solomon. And this is how Solomon was able to acquire all this abundance of gold and silver and exotic trees and wood. Okay, if you read the book of 1 Kings, you would know that it talks about all of that. Okay, and we're going to go into that word real quick, Ophir, and what is the transliteration in the Hebrew. Ophir, there you have it. In the Hebrew is called Ophir, and what it means is, let's go here to the letter C. Characteristics of fine gold. Okay, gold, and it's also the land of Ophir, which is the land of abundance of gold, silver, and all types of exotic animals and trees, certain woods that they didn't have on the East Coast. Okay, because you got to remember, this is before the land of Ophir, before it was called, Amaruca, Arsareth, all these names. Okay, this is the word that they were using to describe the land of abundance, and we're going to prove that here. Okay, and it also gives a description here in the biblical usage of a land or a city in the southern Arabia and Solomon's trade, which we know that to be not the case, because you could find it in the first book of Kings, that it took Solomon, led Hiram, his servant, which was the seafaring people. He was from the land of Canaan. He was a Canaanite, which go back to Ham. Okay, he was a servant to Solomon, and they were known as the seafaring people, the Phoenicians. Okay, they are the true Phoenicians, and they were very wise when it came to their navy, ships, and so forth. So him, along with the servants of the Israelites, which were under Solomon, were the first to discover here so-called AMARUCA, Arsarith, the land of Ophir. Okay, so we're gonna prove this real quick, that the land of Ophir was also known as the land of abundance. Okay, let's look at the lexicon real quick. It says here, Ophir, if you could see it. I'm on a vertical angle here with my phone. Ophir, a very celebrated region abounding in gold. Okay, abounding. If you go into that word, abounding means overflow. It's an overflow of riches that was out here in so-called America. Okay, abounding in gold, the sailors of Solomon went thither together with the Phoenicians. Okay, we just got done telling you what the Phoenicians, who the Phoenicians truly were the seafaring people. The king of Tyrus, which was Hiram, okay, which was a Canaanite, which go back to Ham, okay, from the ports of the Atlantic Gulf, okay, and brought thence every 3 years, there you go, and brought thence every 3 years gold, precious stones, and sandalwood, okay, because we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai that Bahashim Rakakwadash, that Solomon was able to acquire all the riches of the world and became the most richest and abundant person ever to be ever, okay, because he was visiting the land of Ophir. And here's a little spiritual meat in case you didn't know. Solomon is Yahweh Shai, okay. Solomon is Yahweh Shai as well, okay. And that's who he was before he regenerated in the spirit again as Yahweh Shai, being the only begotten son of Yahweh. In case you didn't know, Yahweh is the heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh, meaning he exists. Yahweh Shai is the only begotten son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Yahweh Shai, meaning he saves, he delivers. Bahasham is coming in the name, and Rakakwadash is Spirit Holy. Rakakwadash. Okay, so let's get back to it. 3 years. Okay, we know that it took 1.5 years to get to the land of Ophir, and 1.5 years to get back to Solomon. Okay, and this is how we know the land of Ophir was talking about so-called America here, the land of abundance. Okay, there's no denying that. There's too many documents and receipts, and more importantly, precepts to back up everything that's been documented in history. Okay, 3 years in total to get to and fro, back to the land of Yasharallah. Okay, let's get to it here. Let's go here to get my notes real quick, and that's what it was called. Ophir, the influencer asking for proof, right? So you had that influencer asking for proof to the historian, saying they have found depictions. Okay, the historian had told him they had found depictions in the regions of South America, Peru, and Bolivia. Okay, we all know that the indigenous tribes that were here before Columbus came, they are the 10 lost tribes, and we're going to prove that here in a second. But they also knew about the, because he goes into as well talking about the land of feather serpents. And this all ties in collectively together to furthermore improve that the 10 lost tribes is the northern kingdom, which are referred to in modern time, you so-called Hispanics and native indigenous of the America, which are the northern kingdom of Israel. Okay, in case you didn't know, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom were divided. Okay, the northern kingdom, we're going to go into that in a second, was led away captive by the Assyrian Empire. Okay, but here the man, the influencer, was asking, do you have any proof? And there's plenty of proof. Okay, the man was telling them, not only is there proof that they had the name AMARUCA, according to what their meaning was of AMARUCA, it says on their depictions that it meant the land of feathered serpents. And that's wild, man, because the feathered serpents goes into the word Quetzalcoatl. Salaki, if I don't pronounce it right, but it's Quetzalcoatl, okay, which means feathered serpent, okay? And we could also find that scripture in Numbers 21, 7, and 8. Okay, the Mayans, the Quiche Mayan people, called it Cuculclan. Okay, so they had several different names of this fiery serpent. Okay, and we know, and we got proof to prove it, that they were talking about Yahweh Shai. Okay, if you could receive it in the spirit, great. We might even go into the title of Totonicopan, the title of Totonicopan, which was found text from the Quiche people just a little over the so-called discovery of Christopher Columbus in 1492. It was around 1550 or something like that, where this document of the title of Totonicopan was written by the Quiche Mayan people and was founded by historians, okay, to further prove more that the tribes, they had scriptures here already before the anti-Christians came over here, okay? They already had the Bible here, okay? They have actual documents in their language, which was later translated into Spanish and English, okay? They knew. They were talking about the first couple chapters. They were talking about the Adam and Eve. We're going to go into that, but let's get this first. How the fiery serpent, which in the according to the Aztecs they called it Quetzalcoatl. Okay, we're going to go there. Numbers 21 and 8 real quick. And the Lord said unto Moses, make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. Okay, this is when Moses had led, out of the captivity of Egypt, the Israelites, and they were getting bit by serpents. And Yahweh, commanded Moses to make a fiery serpent. Okay. And he should lay it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. All right. And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Okay. This was Yahweh Shai. Okay. We're going to go into that word real quick. Serpent. Nakash. All right. It says image of a serpent, the biblical usage, fleeing serpent, mythological. Okay. Nakash. All right. And this is that same serpent that they knew and had knowledge of, the tribe of the 10 lost tribes, the northern kingdom, the Israelites, okay, that were here in the Americas, that inhabited the Americas before anyone else inhabited, okay? And those are the depictions that they saw of the words and what they meant, feathered serpents, okay? We're going to go into, as well as we'll talk about how the 10 lost tribes got here, to tie everything together into proving that the 10 lost tribes, which are the Israelites, okay, were separated from their long lost brothers, the southern region, which is the tribe of Judah, which consistently make of Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. Okay, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay, so let's go here real quick. 2nd Ezra 13. We're going to start at 40. All right, let's start at 39. And whereas thou sawest that thee gathered another peaceable multitude unto him. Okay, this is the other group that Yahushua also spoke of, right? Another peaceable multitude unto him. Okay, we are that other peaceable multitude of people, which is the northern kingdom of Israel. Okay, and whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him. Okay, we're gonna get that precept here in a second, but remember in the New Testament it talks about how Yahushua had told the Judah, right, the southern kingdom of Judah, hey, I have to go to another peaceable people. It was talking about the Israelites here in America. Okay, let's continue here. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. Okay, the king of Assyria led away captive all the Israelites. Okay, this was a part of the punishment that the northern kingdom went through, being the first to be captive, being the first to be enslaved. The so-called Hispanics and native indigenous historically were the first ones to go into captivity. Point blank, period. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. And they're going to go into explaining who that other land is. All right, let's continue here. But they took this counsel amongst themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Okay, this is a whole nother continent, a whole nother land where never mankind dwelt. Okay, let's continue. That they might there keep their statues, which they never kept in their own land. All right, going off, worshiping other idols, doing all types of abominations in the land of Yasharallah. And this was part of the punishment of the northern kingdom, why they were led astray, why they were captive, why they went into captivity by the Assyrian Empire. But this all ties in together. This was all part of prophecy, all had to be done, okay? And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, okay? For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. Okay, so Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai showed some grace, some mercy after they were captive, right? For a moment, and led them away into the so-called new land. Okay, let's continue. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. Okay, I don't know if you remember earlier, I was talking about it took 3 years, right? We just got done reading that. A total of 3 years, meaning a year and a half to get to the land of Ophir, to go back to Israel, totaling an amount of 3 years. Okay, so here you have it. It says it was a way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Ar-Sareth, and in the Hebrew means a non-inhabited land. Okay, a land that's never been inhabited. Okay, this was the only side of the continent that no man has ever inhabited. Okay, don't confuse the word for inhabit with discover. Okay, we just got done reading how Solomon and Hiram and the seafaring people were coming over here and grabbing all the resources. Okay, but there was no man inhabiting here. Okay, the only people that were coming here were the Israelites led by King Solomon. Okay, and this land was called Arsareth. Okay, so there's another word that they used to describe the land of Ophir, which we just got done reading. And we also got done reading how it took 3 years for him to have all this abundance. Okay, right? Because we know Ophir also means land, abundance of riches, of gold and silver. Okay, this was the land at that time. The prophet Ezra was speaking of the land of Arsareth, the land where no man has inhabited. Okay, and those, you can't get around it, were the 10 lost tribes, and this is how they got here. And this is how they were able to still possess a little bit of knowledge of what their history is, of what their heritage is, okay, as Israelites. And they have documented text of the Quiche Mayan as well as the Aztec written in their language, in the Nahuatl. If I jack it up, I'll look it up here in a second. But in the Nahuatl language, they were, written. The commandments were written there, as far as the Babylon scriptures as well. Okay, these are the 10 tribes, here in so-called America. All this ties together with prophecy. Okay, all of this all eventually ties in, and I'm going to go ahead and end it with that. Before I go, I'm going to go into a couple other scriptures here. This is what I wanted to bring out. John 10 and 16, the other peaceable people that Yahushua was speaking of, to furthermore prove that the northern region, the Israelites, okay, don't confuse Israel when used in the same sentence as Judah, is referring to the northern region of Israelites, right? And Judah being the southern region. But collectively, they make the whole nation of Yasharallah. Okay, very simple. Okay, John 10 and 16, and other sheep I have. This is red letter. This is Yahushua speaking. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Okay, which is not of this region, this group. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Okay, see how this all ties in together? The land of AMARUCA, the 10 lost tribes, how they were over here, and Yahushua prophesying and furthermore proven that there was a whole nother region that was led away captive, right? And he was telling the Judah, the southern kingdom of Judah, he was explaining to them, I have another fold, okay? I have another sheep, not of this fold, not of this group, right? Them also I must bring, okay? And there shall be one fold, right? Meaning he's talking future prophecy there, right? How he's going to collectively bring both the northern region, which are the Israelites, and the southern region, which are Judah, okay? He's going to bring Judah and Israel together once again, okay, through the grace and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. This is already starting to unfold right before the world, how the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom are coming back to their heritage, which is to be the nation of Yasharallah, okay? And we're going to go find that real quick. Probably end it with this last scripture here to furthermore improve that the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom are held here in spiritual Babylon, so-called America. Okay, all of this ties in together, man. You know, here in the land of Arsareth, here in the land of Ophir, right? The land of abundance at that time. It was a land overflowing with gold, overflowing with silver. Okay, and we know the story in 1492, Christopher Columbus came and already had found and seen here the so-called indigenous Americans, right? Which are the northern region of Israelites, which are Israelites, okay? And they go back to the 12 sons of Jacob, okay? They knew about the serpent, okay? They have text and so forth. Let's see if I could find that real quick. I think I had it placed down here real quick. Okay, let me see real quick. The Título de Totonicopan, okay? This was actual documents written by the Quiche people in the Quiche language in Guatemala, okay? Guatemalan being part of the 12 tribes of Yasharala, being from the tribe of Zebulon, right? From Guatemala all the way to Panama, all those 5 nations, right? Now there's 6, but it was really always 5 at the beginning. Is Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Salakia, I think it's Nicaragua, and then Costa Rica and Panama. Salakia was 6 original, right? Now I think they call 7 Belize, but that just happened a couple, I don't know, 40, 30 years ago, because Belize was actually owned by Honduras. Okay, they sold it. Honduras sold Belize to British Columbia. And I believe they're part now Guatemalan. You know how these colonizers do, man. Buy this, sell here, and, you know, name different names. That's why you have the confusion that you have nowadays. But originally, it was, you know, those that I just named, except for Belize. But now Belize is its own little tiny nation right there. But all of them collectively are the same thing. They're all from the tribe of Zebulon. Well, that location is, okay? Those people that were indigenous to the land, that's biblical prophecy, how they're going to be in the bay of the sea, Zebulon, okay? That's another topic for another day, you know, because we know in history that Zebulon was a landlocked. Okay, if you go back to when Israel went to the promised land, if you look at the tribe of Zebulon, you can look it up. Israel, 12 tribes, and you'll see the image. It was a landlocked. So this is how we know in future prophecy that, you know, Zebulon will be a bay of the sea. Okay. But let's continue here. The Quiche language document written around 1554 in Guatemala, right? 1554, this is the document, you know. The Título de Totonicopan is one of the 2 most important surviving colonial period Quiche language, right? This is the only document that ever survived after the conquistadors, the Edomites, the Spaniard Edomites came and they burned all their books because they knew what they had found. Okay, and they came here with their fake biblical name, fake doctrine, you know, killing a bunch of indigenous people, Israelite brothers here. Okay, and there you have it. Let me see if there's something else I wanted to bring up. You could look this up for yourself later, but this title right here talks about the document that was written in the Quiche language by the Mayans, okay, who are the tribe of Zebulon, okay, and the neighboring tribe would be Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, okay, and here it talks about Cuculclan, right? the feathered serpent. Talks about the feathered serpent, and it talks about, here we go, look at it right here. Quetzalcoatl, a mythical lord, right? In the título, there you go. It goes a little bit into talking about, it even talks about what they wrote on that book a little bit. In the título de Totonicapán, and also the Popol Vuh, when the first ancestors arrived, you see? They even knew they had arrived there, right? From across the sea, they did not eat, but rather sustained themselves by inhaling the smell of the tips of their staffs. Okay, interesting. You could read all this later. I just wanted to bring that up. Let's see here. You saw where they talked about Mexico, and they also talked about Quetzalcoatl. Okay. And yep. And I'm going to go ahead and end it with that. Before I go, I want to give all praises, all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who are preaching and teaching this truth with humility and sincerity across the four winds of the world. To so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indigenous of the America and the Israelite stranger, which has been scattered across the four winds, but their lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as well. Shalom, shalom.